Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, the German election is a little over a month away. At this stage, it looks like Angela Merkel is probably on course to win her fourth term as Chancellor and for her CDU party to remain the biggest in Parliament. But it's been a turbulent few years for Mrs. Merkel. Her decision to open the borders in 2015 saw more than 1 million refugees enter Germany, putting her under pressure and sparking a debate on how to handle the crisis. In the background, a new threat for the centre-right CDU has emerged from the populist right Alternative for Germany party. Formed in 2013, support for its hardline anti-immigration messages allowed it to win seats at local elections at the height of the migrant crisis. Now, recent infighting and a row over how to remember the Nazis has pushed it back, but a poll this week suggested the AfD might win as much as 10% of the vote in September, enough to make it the third biggest party in Parliament. Gabriel Gatehouse has been in Hamburg to ask what's motivating its supporters.
Ersdorf. This isn't the kind of place you'd expect a political crime mystery. But there have been sinister goings-on in this little village, population 800 odd, about an hour's drive north of Hamburg. Last September, the mayor called a meeting of the local council. He suggested they house a refugee family in the village. Some were unhappy. So everyone was inside the village hall for this meeting, including some police officers, because the mayor had already been receiving threats. Now, he popped out to get his laptop from his car, which was parked round the corner here, and that's where the attacker was waiting for him. The mayor was struck from behind with a blunt object. He lost consciousness. He later recovered, but couldn't identify the assailant. The residents of Ersdorf are on edge. Warum ist das?
Ja, es ist unverständlich.
Ist es die Politik oder?
Ja, es muss jemand so an der Politik gestört haben und es muss jemand so empfindlich sein von den aktuellen Geschehnissen. Ich denke, keiner hat Angst vor Flüchtlingen.
Keiner hat?
Nein, aber das, was es mit sich bringt. Die Leute sind verunsichert.
Beyond Ersdorf, the towns of Schleswig-Holstein are home to a relatively small number of refugees compared to other regions. Chancellor Merkel has backed away from her open-door policy. The crisis of 2015 has subsided, but the effects of that summer are still felt today. The biggest political winner has been Alternative for Germany, or AfD, a right-wing party founded only 4 years ago that could become the third largest in the Bundestag. They invited us to one of their events with their deputy leader Beatrix von Storck. Frau von Storck is descended from European aristocracy, and if enough British royals suddenly dropped dead, could conceivably move into Buckingham Palace. But behind the sausages and the joviality, their posters tell a different story, with barely concealed nationalistic references to German ethnicity and homeland. This may look pretty tame, but it's hard to overstate how radical it feels in the German context to have these kinds of placards, the words Deutschland, Heimat, homeland, at a political rally. They talk about Europe. They want more sovereignty. They talk about money. Germany's always footing the bill, they say. But most of all, they talk about Islam and immigration. When did you start getting interested in this party?
Oh, it was when Mrs. Merkel opened the borders. Yeah. And it's no longer my country. She thinks she is the queen of Germany or what. I hate her.
Really?
Yes, really.
Beatrix von Storck has, in the past, suggested using armed force against child migrants at Germany's borders. I put it to her that her party's posters were dog whistles for neo-Nazi ideology.
We are saying Islam does not belong to Germany, which is a historical fact, and we're making very clear we don't want to move towards a society which is more and more influenced by Islam. We don't want that. I don't think you can call that the way you just call it. What else do you mean?
Well, you've got two posters out there, for example. You've got one that says, "Our land, our homeland," and then you've got another one that says, "New Germans will make them ourselves," with a very obviously
pregnant woman.
White pregnant woman.
Yeah.
How is that not hinting at a much darker slogan from a previous era, which was blood and soil?
No, I think it's. I mean, it's very normal what we're saying, and just saying we don't want to have the reproduction of our country done only by others or by migration. What is going on at the moment? So this replacement migration.
And can you understand why, given Germany's history, some people are worried about that?
No, I can't, because you can't ask us to not be linked to our country, or to ask us to, you have to give up your sovereignty, you have to take in migrations, millions and even more millions to come because of your history, you have to give up your culture. No.
Any kind of win for the AfD would be unprecedented for Germany. The first time since the end of the Nazi era that an overtly nationalist party has a presence in the German parliament.
Those who support the AfD are not necessarily those who are socially deprived, but those who are anxious of their own social decline. The idea that of voters that they have no influence in politics and that they cannot trust the political establishment in Germany, and that the AfD, as the name says, is one real alternative.
The day after the rally, we went to see Jutta Brendel, the woman who hates Angela Merkel, at her home in a commuter suburb of Hamburg. She and her husband once voted for the centre-left. Now they say all the mainstream parties are the same. But she admits her support for the right-wing AfD is not without its qualms about the darkest chapter in German history, the Nazi past.
There are still people in Germany, they have the brown suits in the cellar. Sure.
If you acknowledge that there are people in the AfD, maybe not all, but some, who want to pull the party and who want to pull Germany back in this Nazi direction, doesn't that make you feel very uncomfortable?
It does. But you see, I have no other chance in this country to have a voice.
Really?
Really?
Not all Germans are fearful of refugees and migrants, far from it. The AfD knows it'll not end up in government, no matter what happens in the election. But with seats in parliament, it will be in a strong position to shift the German political mainstream to the right.
I've been